What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Own the Hunt. This is Own the Hunt podcast, a new series I'm going to be starting. This is episode 1. Welcome. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for joining. You guys, I have some special guests waiting. Before I bring them on, just want to say thank you to everyone for your support. It means a lot. And we got a lot of things we're going to be talking about on this podcast. I hope you guys enjoy it. As always, please consider hit that like and subscribe button. Let's grow this channel and let's grow this podcast. And then secondly, if you guys have anything you want to hear talked about on the podcast, a topic or something like that, drop it in the comments below. We want to hear from you. We want to bring this podcast to you guys. We want this to be everything you want it to be. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to bring on the boys at Southern Extreme TV. This is Blake and Guffey. Say hi,
What's up,
boys.
guys? What's going on, guys?
Which one's Blake? Which one's Guffey?
I'm Blake.
I'm Guffey.
All right. So, guys, like I mentioned, these are the boys from Southern Extreme TV. I just wanted to kind of mention why I decided to bring them on the show as our, first guests of the podcast. Also, before I do, Brandon is going to be joining the podcast, I hope, in just a little bit. He had a prior engagement, so he's probably going to be a little late. As soon as he jumps on the show, though, we'll bring him in and catch him up to speed. But so guys, the reason I brought Blake and Guffey on is when I started my channel, Own the Hunt, there were a couple of channels out there that really hit home to me. They were channels that I resonated with, guys that I just felt like they're doing the same things I like to do, hunting, living life and being good dudes. And so their content was kind of, meaningful to me, and that's Southern Extreme TV. And so I said, you know what, I want to meet these guys for one. And so we've been talking to them for, I don't know, quite a while, but more frequently within the past couple of weeks. We decided this would be a great fit for the first episode of the podcast. So guys, welcome. Thank you for joining. And I really appreciate your time. Hopefully we can do this more often and maybe more of a regular thing too with you guys. So tell us about Southern Extreme TV, a little bit about you guys. How'd you get your start? What do you think?
Yeah, so I'll kind of take that. So Southern Extreme TV, just in a nutshell, is pretty much any and everything outdoors, hunting, shooting sports related. We do gun reviews, predator hunts, turkey hunts, deer hunts. We do some instructional videos, and we do a little bit of everything. So it's a really cool channel, and I enjoy the heck out of it. Southern Extreme TV got its start close to, I hate to say it, but over 10 years ago. So I've been at this thing for a while, and I would say that it started is a loose term. We started publishing some videos on the deer hunting side probably 10 to 11 years ago. And we started really ramping up on a consistent basis of trying to do content 365 days out of the year, probably 5 to 6 years ago, I would say, mainly kind of in combination with the predator hunts and the turkey hunts. So we've progressed just about every other channel out there. You start with some really, really rough videos, and you go back and watch them, and then you get to see that progression of followers and editing content and stuff like that. So it's been good.
He brought me on just kind of up the looks of the
clearly
naturally. Yeah, we commented on how well you can grow a beard, I think, earlier.
Yes.
It's important to know you have to shave like daily,
every
otherwise
day.
It's a terrible problem, honestly.
It is.
It's cool you mentioned why he brought you on the show, but in all reality, I saw a picture earlier today in our chat that shows you two go way back.
Long time.
Kind of talk about that. I mean, you guys been friends a long time.
Yeah, so I was coaching Blake when I think he was 10 or 11. We started coaching. He started playing on a travel.
We don't need to call you old or anything, Guff.
Yeah, I know.
Old.
I know. I'm old. But so it started there with the baseball thing, and then I went predator hunting with him one night, and he's got his thermal, and he gives me a shotgun with a flashlight taped to it, and he's like, don't turn it on until you hear me say turn it on. Well, I went like 2 nights with him and never heard him tell me to turn it on. I heard him cussing a lot and shooting a lot, but I'd never seen anything. So
It's a true story.
I bought a thermal, and we just for the longest time I didn't like staying up past 10 o'clock, and still don't. But we started taking it serious, I guess, maybe 5 years ago or so, 6 years ago, and it's just been fun.
Yeah. So you would say he definitely introduced you to it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yep. Yeah, that's cool. Well, great. That's exactly what I was hoping to hear. I mean, you guys go way back. Brandon and I, we met through hunting. It's kind of cool. I saw Brandon on a Facebook page that I'm part of, and I'm like, I feel like I recognize that guy. Yeah. I was like, I think I recognize that guy. I saw him at a cornhole tournament, and I walked right up to him, and I was like, hey, I don't mean to be fitting, right? I said, hey, I don't mean to be awkward. I was like, but I feel like I saw you on a coyote hunting page I'm part of. Do you coyote hunt? He's like, yeah, I do. And we kind of hit it off, started talking, and that's kind of how him and I got our start together. And I actually didn't have the channel at that time. We had hunted a little bit, and then I was like, I kind of want to do this YouTube thing. And he wasn't really sure. He doesn't love camera time. He's real quiet and pretty reserved. So I was like, what do you think? He's like, I don't know. It's not really my thing. If you want to do it, kind of go ahead. And we've kind of run with it. I bounce a lot of ideas and things off him, and it's been really good. And we love hunting together. We have the same vibe like you guys do. Just kind of develop a great friendship and go from there. So, guys, let's jump into the topics for today's podcast episode. We're gonna make these topics came directly from Blake himself. So Blake, thank you for the ideas, and the reason I ran with those is because they were things that came from you, which means they're obviously things that resonate with you and you kind of want to talk about. So I'm gonna call this episode Then and Now, and I think that's fitting. So hopefully you know where I'm going with this. I did not give Blake the criteria for this episode at all.
Hey, we're winging it, baby.
But I think we should start with where hunting was. I want to talk predator hunting specifically for this episode.
Yep.
So where predator hunting was when you kind of started, and kind of give us the time frame, and then to where it is now. And I think we can both agree it has changed tenfold. And I haven't been doing it as long as you boys have. And so I'm real interested to hear how long it's been, how much it's changed, and where we're at today, just from your eyes. And so we can start with the popularity of it. We can start with the evolution of gear, thermals, calls, things like that. We can talk about obtaining properties back then versus midway versus now, things like that, and just kind of, I guess, build a foundation as to when you started and how we got here today, and what some of your theories are behind the growth of the sport, things like that. So if you want to take it away, you can, or I can give you a topic to jump on.
I think I'm good. We, like Duffy mentioned earlier, I introduced him to predator hunting, and leading up to that, back in, I graduated high school in 2011. So roughly 2012 is when I would say I really started predator hunting specifically. And when I first started, there was some thermal optics out there on the market, but for the most part, it was going and hunting with shotgun. You're either doing the daytime hunting or you're doing the nighttime hunting. And around here, the population of coyotes back then was not really what the population of coyotes are now. Obviously, we got a big influx of predators from that kind of southwest area of the South Carolina, Georgia dogs that were slowly pushing their way into the foothills of North Carolina. So when I first started, it was going out in the daytime, calling, trying to figure out how to get dogs to respond in the daylight, and just really struggled. But again, we were battling low coyote densities back then, and obviously pairing that with trying to do daytime calling was pretty difficult. So then we made that transition. I keep saying it was myself only. I didn't have anybody to go with me at the time. So everything that I had was kind of trial and error. And I would say around that time too, there was not a lot of information on YouTube on calling and instructional calling for that matter. It was mainly any type of information that was out there was instructional DVDs and maybe some online forums. So the bulk of the stuff that I learned was trial and error. Like, okay, I got an animal to respond at this point in time. What was I doing? What was the conditions?
Yep.
And growing from there. So, I realized real quick that figuring out how to call these animals at nighttime was the way for me to get these animals to come out of the thickets where we lived. And I started out, and I was telling you a story about this the other day when we were talking, but I had a Remington 1187 shotgun. And if you go way back, like I'm talking numero uno video posted on SCTV, I actually showed this shotgun. I still got it in my gun safe, but I couldn't afford at the time a legit flashlight mount. So in our shop where my grandpa kept like a bunch of plumbing tools and stuff, I found 2 plumbing rings, and I put 2 big rings together and then 1 small ring. So they formed a figure 8. And I actually put the big ring over the barrel, the stock and everything. And then the other ring, I put my flashlight on. And that's what I used to nighttime hunt with was, listen, we got
There he
is.
with us. We lost him.
We lost him. He was going. Almost had somebody else.
He's got a bad connection. He joined one time, then we lost him. So,
but yeah, so we had the shotgun with the flashlight mounted to it, and legitimately, I would say it at the time. I would go into pine thickets because that's about all that we really had to hunt at that point in time was properties that were near our house. So I would set in a pine thicket. I would have at the time I think it was a Fox Pro Spitfire or Hellfire, the real little one with the little bitty remote. I think it held like 24 sounds or something. And I would set it in between my legs, and I would sit there in the pitch dark from, 10 p.m. at night all the way to 4 a.m., just bouncing around to 1 or 2 different properties. And I would wait until I could hear coyotes running by, and then I would turn my flashlight on and try to get a shot at them. So it's, seeing where that was at for, probably 4 to 5 years of my predator hunting career and learning how to call in predators, not just call them into 150 yards, but when I considered to have success was when I would call those animals legitimately into 20 yards from where I was at. So if I didn't call that animal into 20 yards, I had no idea that they were there. We wasn't using red lights and hunting fields. We were in pine thickets doing it that way. And then obviously, later on I was able to get a job, and, my dream was to save up money to buy my first ever thermal. And I did. And that kind of goes back to when Guffey was talking about when I introduced him to it, was going out with that thermal. And we actually hunted with a thermal for probably 3 or 4 years before we actually started producing thermal episodes to go onto YouTube, because I couldn't really figure out at that time, learning the editing, learning the filming, and trying to figure out what people wanted to see. It was kind of a transition and a difficult thing to learn how to put an episode together. And then obviously that just, the thermal market from that point to now has just exploded for everything else. So,
what was your first thermal?
It was an ATN. It was a 640 ATN, and it was a 1.5 by 8 power, or a 1 by 8 power.
Wow.
And I want to say that when you bought your thermal, I sold that when we both bought a 2.5 by like 25 power ATN, like the old school Thor.
Yeah.
And we ran them puppies. You still got yours?
No, I sold it last year. Finally,
you sold it last year,
but it was a brick. Like it worked. Like everybody talked so bad about ATN, but this scope was like, it never let me down ever. Like it was.
We killed a lot of animals.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to see that transition of technology and kind of where we came from, and the trials and errors. And you've been with me in those pine thickets in the middle of the night calling. You went with me on a couple of those, and I mean, it's just brutal. I mean, you're just sitting there, you can't see nothing, you can't hear anything. You're like, man, there's no telling how many animals we were calling in that, made it to that 60, 70 yard mark and just got downwind of us, and we never knew it.
So explain that. Like you're sitting there, you're in the dark, you haven't turned a single light on.
I can explain it in one word. It sucked,
It sucked. That's why we're where we are today. But was it was it sketchy? Were there moments you were like, I don't know why we're doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole time I didn't know what they were doing. Yeah. I only did it a few times, to be fair, though. So
what was crazy is now, kind of harping on that then and now. Then, well, I guess now we sometimes as predator hunters shy away from those full moon nights because of how bright it is, and you're stuck out like a sore thumb in those fields. Whereas then I wouldn't hunt unless it was a full moon night, and I
Does
would
it
do
help
that
you?
because I could see. I could set in those pine thickets and I could see shadows and I could see stuff moving. And I'd say, okay, well, I've got a good lane here. And what it did is it opened up my shooting range from 15 yards to maybe 30 or 40 yards. If I knew, okay, there's a pretty wide open section in that patch of hardwoods, I know if I've got a coyote that's circling from my right to left, as soon as he starts to go into that lane, I need to be up and ready to turn my flashlight on. And that's when I need to pull the trigger.
So how successful were you?
I mean, in terms of coyote density and properties that I had access to, we were fairly successful. I would say if we would hunt sundown to sun up, we would kill one a night. And, and I mean,
That's like that'd be an average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you would call in, you'd call in a bunch of fox and stuff like that back then, because that's also, it was also during that time phrase where, you're watching, Al Morris and you're watching these other guys on TV and they're just sitting there playing a rabbit distress for, in your mind, what is an hour. So I'm sitting in a pine thicket with a rabbit blaring as loud as it'll freaking play, for an hour, literally. And, the learning the vocals and the vocalizations of coyotes, that hadn't really adapted to us yet. And that was a piece that we hadn't learned. So we were calling in everything. We were calling in bobcats, fox, coyotes, you named it. We were calling them in. Sure. Obviously here, you can only shoot the coyotes, but it was fun. It helped us learn a lot about the calling and what it really took to get them to get in close to us, obviously.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to start, I would think, for sure. You kind of had nothing and now
exactly
look at you. So Brandon joined. Thanks, Brandon. Welcome.
Hey,
you hear us?
Our views
you didn't miss
get in here, Brandon.
Oh yeah. Look at that beard.
Look at
smile.
that smile.
Oh, how can you not like that? Brandon's got the Huntworth gear hat on, repping the brand. Thanks for joining, even though you couldn't make it at the start, Brandon. You really didn't miss much. Guffey was basically talking and trying to steal the thunder from everybody, and
exactly,
it really wasn't good. So, and we're awfully glad you joined. So I kind of introduced you, Brandon, without you being here,
nice.
about kind of how we met and got our start. But I think it should be said that you're the one on the channel that really talks the most.
Oh,
I'm kidding. But anytime you want to talk, Brandon, just speak up. I don't want to talk over you because I've gotten comments on the channel before that I just need to shut up and let you talk. So
I'll talk.
When you're getting ready. I know you had a lot of good things to say about Al Morris there. Well, I know you were not biting your tongue.
I'm not doing.
So Blake, you got a Night Soccer Precision shirt on, and I think you are awfully keen on that rifle. You want to talk about that a little bit? It's obviously an evolution in gear. I mean, we weren't hunting with rifles like that back then.
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, back then we went from a 1187 shotgun with a plumbing ring flashlight to we figured out, the thermal game and the power of having an AR style rifle, being able to get multiple shots downrange. And we slowly learned that developing and moving from that 223 caliber up to a little bit bigger caliber, all the way up to, me and Guff both, we were on the 6.5 Creedmoors. And, for probably the last 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years, we've been running Rock River Arms, which is fantastic accuracy, really, really good, reliable rifles. But then, going into last year, we actually met a guy by the name of Mark Downing, who is the owner of Night Stalker Precision, and kind of bounced some ideas back and forth. And he started this company basically building custom rifles. And he was kind enough to send us one down for testing all of last year. And I ran it beside Guffey with his 6.5 Creed, and I tell you, it's crazy to see that evolution from all the way back to that 1187 shotgun that I still got to running a fully carbon fiber setup now. I mean, we're running the gun I got is a 20-inch carbon fiber barrel. It's a carbon fiber handguard, carbon fiber stock. It originally came with a carbon fiber grip. I since changed the grip out and put a hoe grip on it just for the little rubberized texture. Yeah, with the gloves. But it's been great. And I mean, it's just I'm a firm believer that you're in the night hunting world. You're only as good as your equipment. And I mean, you can call in all the dogs and all the foxes and bobcats that you can, but if you don't have the gear and you don't have the tool to actually knock them down, then it's you're not killing a lot of animals. And it's definitely changed the way that we do it, and it's been great for us so far.
Yeah, and I think one thing that sets Mark aside from most of your custom build guys is he carries a lot of inventory. So if you not trying to sell you anything, but if you call him up and say, look, man, I want a 6.5 Creedmoor, this is what I want, chances are you're going to have it within a week. He's going to build it. He's going to build it right then. He's going to take it out and he's going to adjust everything with the gas block and all that stuff with the suppressor. And then he's going to mail it right to you or to your FFL guy or whatever, but you'll have it quick. Cool. That's one good thing about him.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, sorry, Brandon.
I was going to ask him what that setup weighs with the tripod and all that.
Yeah.
It's light. I can tell you that. I don't know what it weighs, but it's light.
He's got some. I know he's got some builds now. As far as with the tripod and everything, I don't know. And obviously, your thermal optics is going to depend a lot as far as what that weight is and battery packs and if you're running a full 20 round mag or you're on a 10 round mag. But I know for a fact I've seen some builds on his Facebook page of just the pure rifle that's under 7 pounds,
like
6.5 pounds. Yeah.
But like for us, we've got the battery packs, the scopes, the lasers, everything. You start adding all that, it adds some, but it's a noticeable difference between picking that gun up and picking my Rock River up. You know what I mean? It makes it a lot, like especially in those tournament nights when you're getting it out of the truck and you're lugging it 150 yards or whatever, it makes a difference.
So I just swapped to that Savage Model 12 that my uncle left me this season, and that weighs everything on it: suppressor with the a full magazine, and now the added rangefinder. I'm at 15 pounds, just the rifle alone. It's
a lot.
I think it really helps, though. Honestly, you see those PRS guys shooting; they've got weights on top of weights on their stuff, and it does. I think it translates for coyote too. I mean, it's a pain in the butt to log, but it definitely seems to add to accuracy.
Yeah. Just talking about the evolution in equipment, though, for us, like getting the right caliber. Yeah. That increased our number of what we call kills versus runners and stuff like that we didn't find. It, getting the right equipment and the right caliber of gun that was a huge difference for us. We shot coyotes. I think I was actually the first one that said, you know what, I'm done with this. I went out without him one night and absolutely smoked a coyote and found it. Luckily found some blood and found a coyote, but like most of its lung was hanging out the exit hole. And I sent him a picture. I said, I'm done with this. I mean, that, and so.
What was that, Guff?
That was a 223.
Yeah.
Boy,
you talk about evolution. You talk about evolution, the projectiles. I mean, not only caliber or different cartridge offerings, but projectiles themselves have just flown off the charts. This new Hornady V-match round I'm running in the 6.5. 6.5. We didn't have a lot of lighter load offerings for it early on, and now we've got some lighter loads. I mean, we had 6.5 millimeter stuff that was lighter, but they didn't really run that good in Creedmoor. And now, like this 100 grain Hornady V-match it's smoking. It's over 3,000 feet per second. It's very accurate, at least out of my Sig Cross with the factory 18-inch barrel. And I have been thoroughly impressed with it. And, Brandon switched from a 6.5 Grendel to a 22-250, and he's seeing very good results with the knockdown power of that 250. I mean, you're throwing something at them so blazing fast that you're right. I mean, the cartridge you choose truly does matter. And there has been a lot of evolution with that.
And I tell Blake all the time, he shoots the lighter bullet. And so like if we miss, if we count down and shoot at the same time and we miss, because I'm shooting a heavier, slower bullet, he technically missed. I would have hit the coyote, but because he missed and it run off, it's already gone by the time my bullet gets there.
Yeah.
That's my
Makes perfect sense to me.
You know, it's perfect. Yeah.
You guys ever get to fighting when one of you shoots before the other?
Every night.
Every night.
Oh, we're not alone, Brandon.
Listen, it's if people are have a predator hunting partner that they're in legit with, it's as close to a damn marriage as you can get, and it is legitimately like last year is prime example. Last year, you know, we start ramping up for our seasons. We always go to 2 or 3, 4 different hunts, and we go to some of our lesser quality properties just to try to work the kinks out, get everything, you know, the gears greased, if you will. And we go to this first spot, man. We call in a pair. And they're out there 150 yards. I'm like, all right, man, this is what we've been waiting on. And they run out there. I'm like, all right, Guff. And our countdown, we go 3, 2, then we shoot. And I said, all right, Guff, I'm going to count it. And I wolfed, and they stopped. I said, 3. Guffy said, well, bam! Dogs took off running. I cussed him out, and he cussed me out, and then we hugged it out. But no, it's I was laughing the entire time because I was like, man, that's so funny, because it was about to be me, to be honest with you. I probably would have shot on about 2.
No, we did good. Like, the countdown was new to us last year, but we got pretty good at it. And then I got to tell this story about Mark at the Callan's hunt.
Yeah, tell him.
So we're hunting a 2-night tournament. It's like the biggest tournament we hunt all year because we're not big tournament people. But anyway, and we're hunting with a buddy out of Virginia that we've hunted with before, and then another guy we'd never hunted with. And so night 1 we battled weather. It was rough. Yeah. Night 2 we go to like the first set, and we're I think we had 3 or 4 killed the first night. So you know, everybody had a rough night, so we're okay. And we called in a 3, so we got a triple coming in. And so prior to us getting to this property, we had this big discussion about they didn't like our countdown. So we come up with the agreement that we would say, ready, 3, 2, boom. And so we got this triple coming in, and it's like, I mean, like 70 yards, 75 yards. I mean, just
a triple.
Oh yeah. If you're ever gonna kill a triple, this is it. And we say, ready, and our buddy says, oh yeah, and he shot, and just like, and like we can't even believe it. Like we don't even. Blake didn't even shoot. Like, I mean, I shot at him running, but like I was like, Blake, let's just go home. Like, this is. But I mean, like, we laugh about it. We still give the guy a hard time about it. He's one of our really good friends. He's a great guy, but sometimes you just get caught up in it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that happens to us all the time. It's
one of us more than the other.
Yeah. I honestly feel like we have like a pecking order now. It's like it's bound to happen, and so when it does, it's like the other guy has a freebie kind of thing.
Yeah.
It works better for us if I count. Like, if I count, then I'll be on time. If he counts, I'm always late. Every time, or he's early.
There is some truth to that, and I think so. Like Brandon and I we've both counted one time or the other, right? And like sometimes I'll say you count this time, or I'll just start counting. I'll just take over and say it. But what's that?
I said, or you just shoot.
There has been a time or two, yes. But there's also been times like the other night we were out and we had this coyote come in, and I perceived it as closer and more aware than it was, because I was scanning, and I shot it. I was scanning, and then there it was in my rifle. And normally I'm scanning with a handheld, and so scanning, there it was. I perceived it as like 50 yards. It was probably more like 75 yards from me, and I'm like, dang, that thing's already made our call. It's going to get out of here. So I wolfed at it and shot it. I didn't tell Brandon we had his 16-year-old daughter hunting with us, which poor kid. Our goal when we take her is to put her on. What's that?
I said she was ready to whoop you. She wouldn't say it.
I know. She was not happy. Thank God we called in a second coyote, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 minutes later at the same property, and she got to shoot it and she put an awesome shot on it. It was 255 yards. But, you know, it's like, if you can't laugh about that stuff and like, you know, at the end of the day, shit happens. I never do it intentionally. It's not like I'm gonna get him. Brandon's not gonna get this one.
I think this time or two.
No, I'm calling you out on that one. But you know, like you said, it's like a damn marriage. You're together when you're dead tired. You are exhausted. You've worked all day. Now you're going out to hunt for hours. You know damn well you have to get up in the morning to work. Brandon, I don't know how he does it. I'm afforded a little more time, a little more sleep than he is. He gets up at like 5:30 to go to work a lot of mornings,
Wow.
and we've hunted until 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and he's getting 3.5 hours if he's lucky. And if we kill coyotes, he's jazzed up. So he's not getting any sleep. We go home, we start looking on our scopes for our footage, and it's just, but man, what a blast it is, this predator hunting thing. So I wanted to talk about one of the topics you brought up, Blake, was obtaining properties then versus now. And I think Brandon and I are starting to see some of this. You know, it's getting a little bit more competitive around here. We're starting to see more guys going out looking for properties that may or may not be already being hunted by a predator hunter who's calling and or baiting. We see quite a bit of baiting around, but more of that baiting stuff is being done on private properties where the person either owns the property or it's, you know, very close family. So, I mean, talk to us, because geographically, obviously, we're way up in Maine. You guys are in North Carolina, still East Coast, but I think you have a heavier population of coyotes, but also kind of lay the groundwork as far as geographics go.
Yeah, we, you know, back when I first started, if I would have known how difficult it would be now to find not just ground but good huntable ground, we would have took that ball and ran with it years and years and years ago. Back when I first started and I started putting some of those small pieces of the puzzle together, I realized that land was key. And you know, obviously your first thing you're going to do is you're going to go out to the local people around that, you know, hey, I'm such and such grandson, I'm such and such's nephew. And you start reaching out on those connections and you start building that log of properties. And, you know, it used to be back then that you would knock on a door and nobody heard of coyote hunting in this area. They couldn't believe that you wanted to go out and shoot them. And short of somebody asking you to wait until after deer season, it was rarely a no. You know, out of 50 to 60 times I would knock on a door, you know, maybe 3 people would tell me no. And the only reason that they might tell me no is because they're uncomfortable with somebody that they don't know having a firearm around their cattle or their livestock, which is reasonable. But now it goes to
it's completely switched. You might get 3 yeses out of 50.
It's 100% 180. We may knock on 100 doors, and of those 100 doors that we knock on, we may get 3 to 4 yeses. And
wow.
It's not that they don't want people predator hunting. It's that one of two things. It's either somebody is already hunting it, or it's that they are hunting it. And sometimes we even get a yes, you can come hunt our property, but there is such and such who is also hunting this property. And when that happens, we back off and we just say, hey, listen, you know, that they were here first. They've got a system that they're probably running just like we do. And, you know, we don't want to intrude. We want to do the right thing and let them have that property. And, you know, we always tell that landowner, like, hey, here's a business card. If for some reason something happens, that person leaves, stops hunting, reach out to us. We'd love to, you know, come hunt your property. But we only want one person to be on there. And it's just, it's that evolution of knowledge, of people like me and you posting stuff on social media. I hate to say it, but that's what it boils down to in the core is the amount of information that is out there, the updated technology as far as equipment goes, all of that
technology.
Stuff.
I think the price has come down too, you know. So.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to get it.
All of that stuff just factors into just how difficult it is to actually truly get on good land. And, you know, I think I tell Guffey this all the time. It's it's, to me, it's kind of depressing because obviously I was from that time frame of where I knew what it was like before it boomed. And I tell him every day, I'm like, every year, this is what we're going to look back on as the golden years of predator hunting, because I thoroughly believe that when you get into an area like we're in right here and you see a huge influx in predator hunters, I think that eventually it will get closer to the way that deer hunting properties and turkey hunting properties are, where you've got 3 or 4 different farms. Maybe you have 5 or 6 different guys, and maybe you've got a group of guys out of state that's got the same amount of farms that you can go hunt with sometimes. But I think eventually the price point of night hunting equipment, along with the amount of information that's out there for people to get into it, you're going to see those kind of balance out. And it's going to turn into, just like you see people fighting over deer hunting property and turkey hunting property. Eventually, it's going to be the same way. Now, is that a 5-year turnaround? Is that a 20-year turnaround? Where do we stand on them? I mean, obviously, we can already see a difference from 10 years ago to the way it is now. Now, obviously, we've got really good landowners that treat us really great, and we try to do our best to take care of their stuff too. So it's tough right now. I ain't gonna lie about it.
I told Blake last year, like if I was new to it, and thinking about getting into it and knew what I know as far as how hard property is to get and everything, there's no way I would do it. I get calls or messages every year about, hey, what thermal would you buy or what would you do? And my response to them is simple. I wouldn't do it. I would just let us come do it because, seriously, because you're going to go out and spend, that setup right there. That's, the tripod, the scope, you're talking, what is that? Gun,
12 grand.
It's $12,000, maybe more. I don't know. And you're going to spend that to try to kill a coyote behind your house. It's dumb. You just let somebody that knows what they're doing come in there. And ultimately, my goal is just to kill coyotes. Yeah.
So I get asked by people at this point why I'm doing it. Like, they ask me, why do you do it? And for me, I first started because I saw a coyote deer hunting. And this is a true story. I was fascinated because I had a extinguisher, just a grunt tube extinguisher call. And I slid that thing all the way to like fawn, like as high pitch as it could go. And I saw a coyote about 400 yards out. And I was like, I'm going to call that thing in. Broad daylight, but I was way down on a bog, long ways from a road or houses or anything. So it should have felt really comfortable. I start going on that grunt tube in a fawn kind of call, and that thing turned, looked my direction. Granted, 400 yards away is a long way. I know it heard me, and it would not give me the time of day. It literally went a different direction. Now, I don't know what the wind was like exactly, but my point is I saw that as sport, right? Yeah. I'm a sport hunter. I love hunting for sport. And when I saw that coyote and thought, I'm going to call that thing in and I'm just going to shoot it with my deer rifle here in broad daylight, and it wouldn't give me the time of day, I was like, game on. I want to hunt coyotes. And so I started looking into it about like anybody would. What do I need? What's the gear I need? I bought an ATN 4K Pro. I bought a upgraded IR light. It was not a Sniper Hog light. It's best light you could upgrade to is a Sniper Hog light, in my opinion. But didn't know that at the time. I didn't know about them. And I was kind of doing some research. Got some stuff, threw it on my 223 AR, and I think I had a bog death grip tripod, and went out and thought I was going to call coyotes in, and boy, was I wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It was 6 months before I called my first coyote in. Yep. And it was many cold nights. I went out alone most of the time. That wasn't the most fun, I'll be honest. Like, a lot of people will be like, why don't you just go out alone? And to be honest, it has nothing to do with being afraid of the dark, like, or coyotes, or they're not going to come like chase you and bite your leg off. But it's not that much fun, right? Like, part of this is sharing that experience with a friend and making memories, it's fun, right? So anyway, I get asked a lot, like, why I do it. It is a sport. It is truly a sport. Calling these coyotes in and tricking them, getting them in close. I mean, good luck. That's all I have to say. It's a sport, and you gotta put a lot of time and effort in if you want to be good at it. And I'm fortunate to have met Brandon. He had done it a good amount before I had, and so when I met him, he was like, "Hey, I'm kind of funny about who I'll hunt with, and I don't want to share my properties necessarily unless you have properties that you can kind of reciprocate with." And that's kind of worked really well for he and I. Like, we don't burn up all of his spots or burn up all of my spots. We can kind of share. So that's been good. I mean, I understand Guffey just kind of has ridden your coattails, Blake. It's fine, Guff.
Yeah.
I love poking and prodding Guff a bunch, man. But honest to God, like, I think you hit the nail on the head. I've seen that transition from where I was going out for 3, 4, 5 years of hunting by myself only. I mean, nobody else wanted to go with me. Sat out there in those pine thickets with a shotgun, and I was the only one doing it. I was just determined to try to figure out how to call coyotes. And then once we started kind of putting those pieces of the puzzle together to where we actually started taking it serious and seeing, the camaraderie of going out and hunting with somebody. And it's not, I say this so much to people, it's not just going and hunting with somebody. You have to have somebody that jives and flows with the way that you do things and the way that y'all do things. And we joke every year. Guffey says every year he's retiring about February. He tells me that he's going to block my number. He's never going to call me again, and this, that, and other. But at the end of the day, like, to be honest with you, I really and truly, I don't know what I would do trying to go out and do it. Like, we go out sometimes. Like, I'll even text him, like, I'm going to go out and do 1 or 2 sets on my own just because I got to get an episode out that week, or I'm trying to film a new product, and I go and I'm just like, man, it's not the same. It is not the same going out anymore by yourself. And it sucks, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would think that a good partner may be more important than good equipment or anything else, because, if you're not careful with, like when you reached out to Brandon, if you would have been a bad partner and then you go and he takes you on some of his stuff, and then next thing he knows, you're going behind his back and knocking on the door, and we get, I'm sure we've got some haters out there or whatever, people that we've kind of shied away from hunting with, but, it's so competitive now that you have to be kind of tight knit with who you let in on your stuff. And I think a good partnership is somebody that you can trust. And, you're talking about standing there in the pitch dark and guns on tripods, and, you've got to trust the guy that's beside you,
Yeah, that's a great point. I actually brought this up. My mom, every time I go out, she's like, be safe.
Yeah.
I don't know if she thinks Brandon's going to kill me. There are some nights he might think about it. But she always says be safe, and I take that for granted, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Gun safety for me is like utmost, like way up high. And actually, when we get done shooting, I know, Brandon, I know you hate this. Do you know what I'm going to say?
Oh, yeah. I roll my eyes.
What do I say?
Is it gun on safety?
I do. I say safety on.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't trust him. I know he does it, but I say it. And I do it for myself too, right? Like, but gun safety is so important. And we're out here with firearms in the pitch ass black. We don't turn lights on. I don't know about you guys. We don't turn lights on if we don't have to. I know, Blake, you run a headlamp for like filming and stuff.
Yeah.
But that probably doesn't come on until
we use a red light, like the red light, just to get to where we're going, and if it's bright enough where we don't need one, then no, we don't.
Well, see, you got to understand too, where we're hunting at is a lot different than even with some of the other people that we hunt with. We may have 3 barbed wire fences that we have to cross and 3 creeks that we have to cross. Whereas a lot of these guys, even out of state that we go hunt with, they drive the truck up this access road, get out, walk 30 yards from the truck, and then you're in a 35-acre field. Well, our 3-acre field might be 300 yards with no access road to it. So sometimes we're bound by that. We have no choice.
Yeah. I actually didn't think of that, like obstacles and stuff. Obviously, you want to see that. Yeah, that would suck too.
Fast. because at least if you're asking me, I know that you've done it yourself. So,
So you don't have to ask, right?
Well, you think about it, just like putting guns in the truck to go to the next set, and I mean, there's like I said, it's you got to trust the man that's standing beside you. I think for sure.
That's true. I mean, I've seen and heard of accidents that have happened. Guys following hogs, especially they run and they're running so damn fast, and there's so many of them. You get to the end of your safe point of aim, and if you keep going, what are you aiming at? The guy next to you, and so I've seen and heard of accidents happen. I'll knock on wood and hope that having a good partner and a trust system and just practicing safe hunting is enough to keep us safe. But I wanted to bring that up because I think it's a good topic.
I think for us too. Now, again, I'm not trying to spend too much time on this topic, but for us, I don't know how it is for you guys, but when we hunt with someone different, like it's awkward for us. I don't know why, but everybody's got their own countdown system. There's only a few people that we've hunted with where it flows flawless. But generally, me and him are a lot better when it's just me and him. Like he knows, we communicate the same. And you throw someone else into the mix, and I think that our success is much higher when it's just he and I.
Yeah, Brandon, you want to touch on that? I mean, we've taken a couple different people. I think obviously Bobby's knows the drill, but
yeah, Bobby and I used to hunt together before you and I started hunting. So his style is very similar to mine. It didn't feel awkward the other night.
Not at all. No.
Honestly, I don't know that we've hunted with anybody because I won't hunt with many people. Yeah. I haven't felt uncomfortable yet with anybody. I've hunted with a guy up north, Cody Gould. Real good kid and knows his stuff. Real good.
I also hunted with Cody alone one night. A great experience. Yeah. I do think though if they've never done it, they don't know what to expect, that's a huge difference. Anyway, so guys, we're getting to the end of our episode, but I want to ask Blake and Guffey a question, and I kind of would like an answer from both of you individually. Okay. If you could only hunt one animal for the rest of your life, what would it be? It can be anything. It doesn't even have to be an animal you can hunt in your state. Doesn't have to be an animal we can hunt in this country at all. Yes, it has to be an animal you have hunted.
I'll go first. I think for me, my passion is deer. I love to food plot. I love to run trail cameras. It's not just a 2-month thing for me. I like to, plant food in the spring, and that's probably my number one passion. But I have gotten over the years to where coyote hunting is, it's more fun because of the camaraderie, you get up in a deer stand, you get up before daylight, and you go sit up there in that stand, and you're cold, and you're just sitting there by yourself waiting on a big one to come eat some corn or something, where, here it's kind of fast paced and you're kind of moving all over the place. You've got people to make fun of like Blake. And so, I don't know. That's still a tough question. I don't know. I would say that coyote hunting is more fun for me. But I don't know that I would give up deer hunting for coyote hunting.
Yeah, and I think I'll piggyback off that because Southern Extreme TV when it was started, it was a group of guys that our passion was deer hunting because back then we didn't have a huge coyote population here. So deer hunting to me, it goes a lot deeper, I guess, emotionally than predator hunting does, because I go back to when, I was four years old, and I remember going deer hunting with my dad, and we would climb up this homemade wooden ladder stand, and I would literally hold on to like his belly, almost like you see like a baby gorilla or monkey, and we would go up this ladder, and I would literally sit on a 5-gallon bucket between his legs on this homemade ladder stand. And, that's where, if it wasn't for those opportunities back then that were given to me to really enjoy the outdoors and enjoy the hunting, then Southern Extreme TV wouldn't be what it is today. And the predator hunting kind of came after the fact. And where we're at, we're in kind of a weird area where wildlife has really just started to pick up within the last 15 to 20 years, really, because back when I was a kid, if you seen a white-tailed deer, you went home and you told people about it. It didn't matter if it was a fawn, a doe, a buck, whatever. If you seen a deer, you went and told everybody at school, like, dude, I went deer hunting this week and I seen a deer. Like, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And the predator hunting was kind of the same way early on. Was, you never heard coyotes howling, you never heard that type stuff. But if I had to pick one to stay with, it would definitely be deer hunting. But that's just because of the deep rootedness that I guess deer hunting means to me and means to Southern Extreme TV. But like Guffey said, the camaraderie of predator hunting, and me and Guff both come from baseball background, so the competitiveness of finding new properties, learning more about those animals and how to call them in, and learning not only that, but learning the ever revolving door of new gear and tactics that's out there on the market, and trying to implement those that may work where we're at or may work somewhere that we're going to be traveling to. That is what I probably love the most about predator hunting. But if I had to pick, it would definitely be deer. But like Guff said, that's a tough question.
Yeah, I knew that would put you on the hot seat, because Blake, I see that passion for whitetail deer hunting in your channel. And guys, if you aren't familiar with Southern Extreme, please go hit them with a sub, smash that like button on all their videos. But Blake is a passionate whitetail deer hunter, as he just said, and last year he harvested not only one, right?
Yeah,
Two?
I had
Monsters.
the best year that I've ever had, and it was just.
He's lucky.
I spent a lot of.
Come on, man.
I was lucky, man. I did. I killed two really, really good deer. I killed one here locally that with a bow that was a very, very big deer, biggest deer I've ever killed, and then was able to go and do a rifle public land hunt up in some mountains, and just stumbled across a needle in a haystack. Just right place, right time. Just something that may never happen to me again. So for it all of that to line up in one season was pretty ridiculous.
I give him a hard time about being lucky, but like, to be fair to him, like, which he knew about the deer that he killed here, and he hunts all the time, like every day. And but I also tell people, how many people would hop in their truck and drive 4 hours and sleep in their truck at a boat ramp, climb a mountain, after a cold boat ride, and and even I wouldn't. He asked me to go. I said, no, I ain't going. That's stupid. And so,
He showed you.
Huh?
He showed you.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. So, I think that the determination was that. I mean, that you can't get lucky if you ain't there. So.
That's true. That is so true. Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, I want to thank you again for hopping on the show. Hopefully, this is one of many. I'd love to have you on the show again. I think we have so many similarities and same passions. It's actually a goal of Brandon and I's to get down there and hunt with you guys. Maybe kill some coyotes, and if not, have some laughs. Have a great time, right?
We'll definitely do that. We'll definitely
it's hunting, right? And hopefully you take us to your absolutely best spots so I can put them in my phone and
definitely take it to the horse.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
No.
Door hole.
Anything else you guys want to say?
No, we really appreciate you guys having us on. It's been, I know, like you said, when y'all started y'all's channel and reaching out to us, and over the last, I guess we've been in conversation probably going on almost a year now, just about since last season. So finally, talking through this, and I know you approached us with the idea about a podcast, and we supported that 100%. We think that's a great platform, and from our perspective, I know, especially my perspective, this is the type of stuff that I love doing, because the videos and the stuff that I try to produce is very hard with YouTube to try to keep it I guess, spearheaded, and you have to not be as wordy. Whereas here, you get to really dive down into those details and have those conversations and really interact with different people. So I really enjoy you bringing us on. And, you know, like we said earlier, Southern Extreme TV will be a part of as many podcast episodes as you'll let us be a part of. So we're looking forward to many more.
Oh, that means a lot. Yeah, that means a ton, Blake. Like I said at the beginning of the show, your channel really was one of the channels that I resonated with the most early on. And I'll give a shout out to the other one, Who's Your Hunter. I think I mentioned that to you guys earlier, but
Yep.
I really enjoyed his channel. We have a lot of similarities. So again, guys, thank you so much, and we will have you back for sure. And we hopefully will get down there. I'd love to get down there this fall. I popped the initial question to the wife, and we'll see where that goes. But I'd like to get down there with Brandon if we can. So he's got some work to do on his end as well. I know that. So.
Well, 10-4, you guys are welcome anytime. You just let us know, and we'll try to put something together, see if we can get y'all on some
Awesome
dogs.
And we'd love to have you up here in Maine as well. We definitely don't have quite as many, and you know, we make it look easy in the videos, but boy, we go through a lot of dry sets, as I'm sure you guys do too. You know,
yeah, we're not just run over with coyotes by any means.
No. Y'all got hogs there?
No, you can travel about an hour and a half south of us, and you start running into some pretty heavy ones. And then it's the farther south, west, and southeast you go from us, you really start hitting them. We're right on that line of finding good mud and water spots that they can roll in on a consistent basis for, you know, because they don't have pores, so they got to roll in that mud, and we don't quite have that where we are. But you go just a little bit farther south, and that's kind of almost where that line is drawn for where they're at.
Okay. All right, so maybe we have to find a new YouTube channel to talk to, Brandon.
You gotta find somebody else to enjoy your dogs. Yeah.
Oh man, just kidding. All right, guys. Well, that's gonna do it on this episode. Thank you all for joining, and we will catch you soon.
I see you guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Later.